The paper was heavier than it looked. Mia felt it in her hands as if the weight of it wasn't ink and parchment, but consequence, dense, inevitable. The contract lay across the obsidian table between her and the men who had arrived before dawn, its surface etched with symbols that refused to stay still. They shifted when she wasn't looking directly at them, sliding like shadows under skin. She didn't ask what they meant. She already knew this wasn't a document meant to be understood. It was meant to be accepted. Lily whimpered behind her. The sound sliced straight through Mia's chest. She twisted halfway, instinct clawing at her spine, but the woman in the gray coat, Blackwood security they'd called her, lifted a hand in gentle warning. "Moving her will agitate the change," she said calmly, too calmly, like this was a routine inconvenience, not Mia's 7-year-old daughter trembling on a velvet couch with sweat-damp hair and eyes glowing faintly gold. Mia swallowed hard and turned back to the table. If you're enjoying this Arctic adventure, please subscribe and enable notifications to stay updated with each new chapter of our story. Now settle in and immerse yourself in the tale ahead. We value our community's engagement. Feel free to share your location and thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to know where you're watching from today. The room smelled like old stone and rain-soaked pine. They'd brought her here blindfolded, driven for what felt like hours, the world narrowing to the sound of Lily's breathing and the steady hum of an engine that never once changed speed. When the blindfold came off, they were inside the Blackwood estate, an ancient structure half swallowed by forest, its walls carved from dark stone that drank in the light. Now torchlight flickered along the chamber walls, casting long, distorted shadows. Wolves, she thought, even though no one had shifted. Even in human form, they carried it with them, the stillness, the weight. At the far end of the room, a man leaned against a pillar, arms crossed, posture loose in a way that set Mia's nerves on edge. Callum Blackwood. She hadn't been introduced, no one needed to. She felt him the way you felt a storm before it broke, pressure gathering, air thickening. His eyes were fixed on Lily, jaw tight, shoulders rigid beneath a black coat that looked ceremonial rather than practical. He hadn't spoken once since they arrived. Lawrence Blackwood sat at the head of the table, fingers steepled, expression carved from ice. He looked like Callum in the way statues resemble living men, similar lines, same sharp bone structure, but where Callum burned, Lawrence froze. "This agreement," Lawrence said, voice smooth as polished stone, "ensures your daughter's protection." Mia laughed once, sharp and brittle. "You kidnapped us." Lawrence inclined his head slightly. "We intervened." "She's sick," Mia snapped, gesturing toward Lily. "She needs a hospital." "She needs containment," he corrected, "and guidance. Her first manifestation occurred in a public place. That alone would have sealed her fate if we hadn't acted." Mia's heart hammered. "What fate?" Lawrence's gaze flicked to Callum for a fraction of a second before returning to her. "One you don't want to imagine." Behind her, Lily whimpered again, this time louder. Mia felt it like a hook in her spine. She twisted halfway, crossing the room in 3 strides, dropping to her knees beside the couch. "Hey," she whispered, brushing damp hair back from Lily's forehead. Her skin was too warm, feverish. Silver markings, faint, glowing, traced the inside of her wrists like veins of moonlight. "Mama," Lily breathed. "It hurts." "I know, baby, I know." Mia pressed her forehead to Lily's, breathing through the terror rising in her throat. "I've got you, I promise." She felt it then. A presence. Callum had moved. He stopped a few feet away, close enough that Mia could feel heat radiating from him, could smell something wild and clean, pine, smoke, ozone. He crouched slowly, movements careful, deliberate, like approaching a skittish animal. "It will pass," he said quietly. His voice did something strange to her. It wasn't gentle exactly, but it wasn't cruel either. It carried restraint, layered thick over something far more dangerous. Mia looked up at him, fury flaring in her chest. "You don't know that." His gaze met hers fully for the first time. Ice blue, not metaphorically, actually glowing, faint but unmistakable. And when they locked on her, something inside Mia pulled tight, like a wire drawn too fast. "I do," he said, "because if it doesn't, they'll take her from you." Mia stood slowly, putting herself between him and Lily. "Then stop them." A muscle jumped in his jaw. "I can't." The word landed heavier than any threat Lawrence had spoken. Lawrence cleared his throat. "Enough, we're wasting time." Mia turned back to the table, hands shaking. "You said there was a way." "There is," Lawrence replied. "This contract binds you to the Blackwood Pack. In exchange for your compliance, your daughter will be trained, protected, and recognized. She will belong." The words scraped raw. "And me?" Mia asked quietly. Lawrence smiled. "You," he said, "are the consideration." Callum stiffened. Mia didn't miss it. "What does that mean?" she demanded. "It means," Lawrence said smoothly, "that your presence stabilizes the child. Your bloodline, however dormant, anchors hers. Without you, she becomes volatile, dangerous." Mia's heart hacked. "So you need me?" "We require you," Lawrence corrected, "within our territory, under our laws." "And if I refuse?" Lawrence gestured toward Lily without looking. Mia's knees nearly buckled. Callum moved again, fast this time. "Enough," he said sharply. "You've made your point." Lawrence's eyes hardened. "Mind your role." Silence fell, thick and charged. Callum exhaled slowly, then looked at Mia, not as a captive, not as leverage, but as a woman standing at the edge of something irreversible. "There are rules," he said, voice low. "The contract outlines them. You'll live under protection. No one will touch you without consent." "Except you," Mia said bitterly. His eyes flickered. "No." She scoffed. "Don't insult me." "I'm not," he said, stepping closer despite himself. "There are prohibitions, boundaries written into pack law." "Like what?" she challenged. He hesitated. Lawrence answered for him. "Like attachment." The word echoed. "No emotional bond," Lawrence continued. "No mating claim, no rebellion against authority. You will comply with ritual schedules and remain available as required." Mia's stomach turned. "I'm not your property." Lawrence's smile widened just enough to be terrifying. "You are, if you sign." Mia looked at Lily. Her dado's eyes fluttered open, gold flaring bright before dimming again. Her small hand reached out, fingers curling weakly in the air. "Mama," she whispered. Something inside Mia broke clean in half. She turned back to the table, picked up the pen. It was warm, too warm, like it had been waiting. "Read it," Callum said quietly. "I don't need to," Mia replied. Her hand shook, but her hand didn't. "You've already told me the cost." Callum's gaze darkened. "Once you sign, there's no undoing it." She met his eyes. "Then make it worth it." For a moment, something dangerous flashed across his face. Rage, grief, something like regret. He nodded once. Lawrence slid the paper closer. "Sign here." The symbols pulsed. Mia pressed the pen to the page. The moment ink met parchment, the room reacted. The torches flared, shadows twisting wildly. A low hum filled the chamber, vibrating through bone and blood. Silver light crawled along the contract, racing up Mia's arm like liquid fire. She gasped, dropping the pen, but it was already done. A sharp pain bloomed in her chest, then spread, sinking deep, settling somewhere beneath her ribs like a brand. Lily screamed. Mia spun, rushing to her side just as the glow around her daughter surged, then softened. The fever broke in a rush of heat. Lily sagged against the cushions, breathing evening out. "Mama," she murmured, eyes returning to their familiar blue. Mia collapsed beside her, sobbing with relief, clutching her close. "It's okay," she whispered. "I've got you. Above them, the room stilled. Lawrence rose, satisfied. "It's done." Callum stared at Mia, something unreadable burning behind his eyes. She felt it now, a pull, a thread drawn tight between them, humming with something ancient and wrong. She looked up at him, fury and fear colliding in her chest. "What did you do to me?" His voice was barely audible. "What you asked," he said. "I made it worth it." The moon rose higher outside, light spilling through the cracked ceiling, silver and unforgiving. And Mia understood, with sudden, terrible clarity, that saving her child had cost her more than freedom. It had bound her to the one man the world would punish her for wanting, and the contract had only just begun. Mia woke to silence that felt manufactured, not the natural quiet of early morning with birds testing the air or leaves whispering in the trees, but heavy, deliberate stillness, like the world had been instructed to hold its breath. For a moment, disorientation pressed in, the memory of torchlight and silver runes blurring with the soft darkness of the room around her. Then she remembered. The contract, the chamber, the way the pen had burned in her hand. Her heart kicked hard against her ribs. She sat up too quickly, and dizziness washed over her. The bed beneath her was massive, draped in charcoal gray linens that smelled faintly of pine and something sharper. Stone walls rose around her, smooth and ancient, broken only by tall windows veiled in sheer black curtains. Moonlight lingered there, pale and watchful, even though dawn must have already passed. "Mama?" Mia twisted, panic spiking, until she saw Lily curled beside her, small and warm and undeniably human. No glow beneath her skin, no fever, just sleep, deep and even. Mia sagged, pressing her hand to her mouth to keep from crying. She was alive, safe, for now. A soft knock sounded at the door. Mia stiffened. Every muscle went tight, ready to fight or flee, despite knowing neither would matter. The knock came again, measured, restrained. The door opened without waiting for permission. Callum Blackwood stepped inside. He looked different in daylight, less like a shadow given form, more like a man carved from restraint. He wore dark trousers and a simple black shirt, sleeves rolled to his forearms, revealing faint silver scars that caught the light when he moved. His presence filled the room without effort, as if the air itself adjusted to accommodate him. Mia's pulse betrayed her. He stopped just inside the doorway, gaze flicking briefly to Lily before returning to Mia. Something unreadable crossed his face, relief, maybe, quickly buried. "She's stable." Mia drew Lily closer instinctively. "You don't get to walk in here like nothing happened." Callum inclined his head slightly. "You're right." The admission caught her off guard. She searched his face for mockery and found none. His expression was controlled to the point of severity, but there was tension there too, coiled and sharp. "Where are we?" she asked. "The east wing of the Blackwood estate, warded. No one enters without permission." "Yours?" she shot back. "Mine," he confirmed. "And hers." Mia's jaw tightened. "What about me?" Something flickered behind his eyes. "You're under my protection." The words should have comforted her. Instead, they made her skin prickle. "I didn't agree to that."
You agreed to the contract, Callum replied evenly. This is part of it. Mia swung her legs over the side of the bed and stood, ignoring the faint tremor in her knees. Then explain it to me, all of it, no half-truths. Callum studied her for a long moment, as if weighing how much damage honesty might do. Come with me, he finally said. Both of you. Mia hesitated. Lily just woke up from whatever that was. She won't shift again today, he said with quiet certainty. The bond is dormant for now. The bond. The word tightened something in her chest. She followed him anyway. The estate unfolded like a living thing, corridors branching and curving, ceilings arching high overhead, walls etched with symbols older than language. Servants moved through the halls with eyes lowered, giving Callum wide berth. None of them looked at Mia directly, but she felt their awareness like a current beneath her skin. They entered a smaller chamber lined with windows overlooking dense forest. Morning light filtered through the trees, painting the stone floor in fractured gold. Callum gestured to a long table set with food. Fresh fruit, bread, steam curling from a porcelain cup. You need to eat, he said. Mia almost laughed. You think breakfast makes this normal? No, he said. I think hunger makes it worse. She hated that he was right. Lily climbed onto a chair, eyes wide but curious, already reaching for a piece of food. Mia watched her closely, searching for any sign of lingering danger. She'll attend lessons, Callum continued. Controlled environments, supervised shifts when the time comes. And if I say no? He met her gaze steadily. Then others will say yes for you. Mia's hands curled into fists. So you're my handler now. Callum's jaw tightened. You're my buffer. Against what? My father. The answer landed like a blow. Lawrence Blackwood's cold smile flashed through Mia's mind. Then why not keep him away from us entirely? Because I don't rule this pack, Mia said quietly. Mia studied him, really looked. The scars, the tension in his shoulders, the way he stood like someone braced for impact. Not yet, she said. Something dangerous stirred in his eyes. No. Silence stretched between them, thick with things unsaid. Why are you helping us, really? Mia asked finally. Callum looked away, gaze drawn to the forest beyond the windows. Because I've seen what happens to children like her when the council gets involved. Mia's breath caught. And because your blood complicates things, he added, in ways my father doesn't fully understand. She swallowed. But you do? Yes. Why? He turned back to her slowly, eyes glowing faintly now, something primal stirring beneath his control. Because the moment you signed that contract, he said, voice low, the pack felt it. My skin tingled. Felt what? Callum took a step closer, stopping just shy of touching distance. You. The air between them hummed, tight and electric. Mia's heart raced, her instincts screaming two conflicting commands, run and lean in. That's impossible, she whispered. It shouldn't be, he agreed, which is why it's forbidden. Her pulse stumbled. Forbidden how? Callum's gaze dropped to her throat, lingered there for a fraction of a second too long. An alpha heir cannot claim a mate chosen by contract, especially one tied to legacy blood. Mia's stomach twisted. Mate? Callum looked up sharply. I didn't say. You didn't have to, she snapped, stepping back. This is just another lie, another way to control. It's not a lie, Callum cut in, voice edged with steel, and it's not a choice. The room seemed to shrink around them. Lily's small voice broke the tension. Mama, he smells like the moon. Callum froze. Mia stared at her daughter. What did you say, sweetheart? Lily shrugged, unbothered. Like the night, when I wasn't scared. Something in Callum's expression cracked, just slightly, enough for Mia to see the weight he carried. He exhaled slowly, mask sliding back into place. That's why I'm prohibited. Because you're dangerous? Mia asked. Because I'm bound, he replied, to rules designed to prevent exactly this. This? She demanded. He met her gaze fully now, no restraint left in his eyes. Us. Mia's chest tightened painfully. Then stay away from me. Callum laughed once, harsh and humorless. If it were that simple, this wouldn't be happening. She should have hated him. She should have feared him. Instead, something deep in her bones recognized him, answered the pull with terrifying clarity. "Nothing about this is happening because I want it." His voice softened. "I know. Then why does it feel like everything is already slipping out of my control?" Callum stepped back, restoring distance with visible effort, because the bond doesn't wait for permission. The forest outside stirred, wind threading through the trees like a warning. He straightened, mask sliding back into place. "Rest today, stay close to Lily. Tonight, the council meets." "And after that?" Mia asked. Callum paused at the door. "After that," he said quietly, "they'll decide what to do with you." He left without another word. Mia sank into the chair, heart racing, Lily's small hand warm in hers. Prohibited or not, one truth had become painfully clear. Callum Blackwood wasn't just part of her problem, he was the axis everything would turn on, and whatever force had bound them together had no intention of letting go.
The first rule Mia learned was silence. Not the absence of sound, but the discipline of swallowing questions before they formed, of moving through the Blackwood estate like a guest who had overstayed her welcome and knew it. The halls listened, the walls remembered, and the people, wolves in human skin, watched everything with eyes that missed nothing. Callum was everywhere and nowhere. She felt him before she saw him, a pressure in her chest, a warmth that had no right to exist in a place so cold. When he passed in the distance, her pulse responded like a traitor, quickening without permission. When he was gone too long, something in her bones went restless, sharp with unease. It terrified her. She kept to Lily, shadowing her through carefully controlled orientation sessions, led by polite wolves with clipped smiles and clipped answers. Lily behaved like a child on the surface, curious, chatty, endlessly resilient, but Mia saw the moments when her daughter stilled, head tilting as if listening to something only she could hear, saw the faint shimmer beneath her skin when emotions ran high. Every time it happened, Mia's breath caught. Callum always appeared shortly after. He never touched Lily, never crowded her. He stood watch like a sentry, a presence so solid it anchored the room. And Lily, for all her fear, gravitated toward him with unthinking trust. "He makes the buzzing quiet," she whispered once, clutching Mia's sleeve. Mia had no answer for that. At night, sleep became a battlefield. Mia dreamed of forests drenched in moonlight, of silver threads wrapping around her wrists and throat, warm instead of binding. She dreamed of Callum's eyes glowing in the dark, not predatory but searching, as if he were lost and she was the only fixed point in the world. She woke with her heart racing and her skin humming, as though touched by something that had retreated just before dawn. The worst part was the clarity. She knew with a certainty that had nothing to do with reason when Callum was awake, when he was restless, when he was angry. Once she woke gasping, hand pressed to her chest, moments before a distant crash echoed through the estate, later explained away as a training mishap. The bond, Callum had called it. Whatever it was growing. They tried to stop it. Silver wards were etched into the doorways of her rooms, humming faintly when she crossed their thresholds. An herbal draught was delivered every morning by a servant who would not meet her eyes. Callum didn't bring it himself, but she felt his displeasure like a bruise. "Drink," the woman insisted softly. Mia stared at the cup. The liquid shimmered faintly, moon pale. What does it do? Dulls instinct, suppresses resonance. Mia thought of Lily, thought of contracts and councils and the word resource spoken without shame. She drank. The effect was immediate and awful. The world went slightly out of focus, like looking through glass smeared with oil. The warmth in her chest dimmed, replaced by a hollow ache. She felt smaller somehow, less anchored in her own skin. That night she didn't dream. She woke furious. On the third day, she ran into Callum in the south corridor. Literally,
She rounded a corner too quickly, mind elsewhere, and slammed into a solid muscle and heat. Hands caught her shoulders before she could stumble back. The contact was brief, too brief, but it sent a jolt through her like lightning finding ground. They both froze. Callum's breath hitched, his eyes flared, blue igniting into something dangerously bright. Mia felt it answer in her own chest, the suppressed warmth roaring back to life. The wards in the corridor flickered. "Don't," he said hoarsely, hands dropping as if burned. Mia swayed, steadying herself against the wall. "I know." He took a step back, jaw tight. "You shouldn't be here." "Neither should you," she shot back, anger sharpening her fear. "If this is so forbidden, why do you keep orbiting us?" His mouth curved in something that wasn't a smile. "Because if I don't, someone else will." "Your father?" "Yes." The name hung between them, poisonous. Mia crossed her arms. "Then tell me what's really happening, Callum, because whatever this is, it's not just in my head." He hesitated, every line of his body screaming restraint. "The bond recognizes compatibility on a level deeper than law. Blood, instinct, power." "And choice?" she asked quietly. His gaze softened, just a fraction. "That's where the rules come in." A distant chime echoed through the hall, a summons. Callum straightened, the moment breaking. They're accelerating the timeline. For what? For the ritual, to assess Lily's potential. Cold fear slid down Mia's spine. Assess how? He met her gaze, and this time there was no evasion. By provoking another shift. "No," the word tore out. "You said she was stable." "She is, which makes her valuable." Mia's hands trembled. "I won't let them hurt her." "I know," Callum said softly. "Neither will I." "Then stop them." "I can't," and the admission looked like it cost him something vital, not without breaking the rules that keep me in power. "Then break them," she snapped. The corridor seemed to hold its breath. Callum stepped closer, lowering his voice. "If I do, the consequences won't stop with me. I don't care." "I do," he said, eyes darkening. "About you." The words settled into her like a brand. Mia's pulse thundered. "Then help me take her away from here." For a heartbeat, hope flared in his eyes, wild and dangerous. Then he shook his head. "They'd hunt you, both of you. Let them try." Callum exhaled slowly, as if forcing himself back into his body. "You don't understand what it means to be claimed." Mia swallowed. "Then explain it to me." Before he could answer, a presence flooded the corridor, cold, suffocating. Lawrence Blackwood emerged from the shadows, hands clasped behind his back, eyes glittering with amusement. "Well," he drawled, gaze flicking between them, lingering on the space where Callum stood far too close. "This is instructive." Mia felt Callum's body go rigid beside her. "Father," he said evenly. Lawrence smiled. "You're hovering." "I'm guarding a contract asset." Mia bristled, even as she understood the necessity of the lie. "Of course," Lawrence said. "Still, you might remember your place." Callum's jaw tightened. "I know exactly where I stand." Lawrence's gaze slid to Mia, appraising, possessive. "And you, Miss Winters, are settling in?" Mia forced herself to meet his eyes. "I'm here for my daughter." As expected, maternal instinct is such a reliable motivator. Something in the air shifted, tightened. Lawrence stepped closer, voice dropping. "Enjoy it while you can." Callum moved without thinking. He placed himself between them, subtle but unmistakable. The bond surged. Mia felt it like a rush of heat and certainty, a wordless claim that echoed in her bones. The wards lining the corridor flared white-hot, then smacked with a sound like breaking glass. Silence crashed down. Lawrence stared, shock flickering across his features before being replaced by cold fury. "What have you done?" Callum's chest rose and fell, eyes blazing. "Protected what's mine." The words rang like a challenge. Mia's breath caught, heart pounding. She should have been terrified. Instead, she felt anchored, chosen. Lawrence's smile returned, slow and terrible. So it's begun. He turned and walked away, laughter echoing faintly. The damage lingered, cracked stone, smoking wards, the weight of what had just been revealed. Callum turned to Mia, expression raw. "I tried to keep this from you." She stepped closer, unafraid now. Too late. Their proximity hummed with restrained power. "What happens now?" she asked. Callum looked at her like the answer hurt. Now the rules are watching. Mia reached out, fingers brushing his wrist, intentional this time. The bond answered, bright and undeniable. "Then let them," she said. Somewhere deep beneath the estate, something ancient stirred, and the moon, rising unseen, bore silent witness to the first rule being broken.
The room smelled wrong. Not unclean, Blackwood spaces never were, but sharp with iron and burned herbs, like something sacred had been scraped hollow and repurposed. Mia felt it the moment she crossed the threshold, a prickle along her spine that had nothing to do with fear and everything to do with recognition. This place remembered blood. Lily's hand tightened in hers as they were led inside, small fingers cold despite the warmth of the chamber. The walls curved inward, ancient stone etched with symbols that pulsed faintly under torchlight. Silver inlays traced the floor in concentric circles, intersected by grooves too shallow to be decoration and too deliberate to be accidental. Mia knew then what they were. Channels. "We won't stay long," Victoria said briskly, clipboard tucked against her chest like armor. "This is only a diagnostic ritual, non-invasive." Mia's gaze flicked to the grooves again. "Then why does it look like something bleeds here?" Victoria's mouth tightened. "You've been watching too many horror movies." Callum stood near the doorway, silent, rigid. He hadn't met Mia's eyes since they'd been summoned. The bond between them buzzed with tension, a low thrum of warning that set her nerves on edge. Something was wrong. Lily was guided to the center of the circles, encouraged to sit on a stone dais dusted with white ash. She obeyed, brave in the way children were when adults lied convincingly enough. "Mama," she whispered, "I'm right here." Lawrence Blackwood entered last. The air changed when he did, pressure settling over the room like a held breath. He smiled at Lily, soft and indulgent. "My brave little moon," he said, "you're doing so well." Lily managed a small smile back. Mia felt her unease spike through the bond they shared, childhood fear muffled by trust. "Let's begin," Lawrence said. The chanting started low, almost conversational, voices weaving together in a rhythm that vibrated through the stone. The symbols brightened, silver turning liquid under the torchlight. Mia felt it immediately. A pull. Not on her body, but on something deeper, like invisible fingers reaching for her marrow. She gasped, clutching her chest. Callum's head snapped up. "Mia," he warned softly. "No," she breathed. "You said this was about Lily." Lawrence's gaze slid to her, cool and assessing. "It is." The pull intensified, tugging insistently now, as if frustrated by resistance. Mia staggered. Callum was there instantly, hand gripping her elbow, steadying her without drawing attention. "Stop," she said, voice rising. "Stop it right now." Victoria glanced up, irritation flickering across her face. The unexpected resonance spike. "Unexpected?" Mia laughed sharply, pain and fury bleeding into the sound. "You're drawing from me." Lawrence didn't deny it. "Bloodlines don't exist in isolation," he said calmly. "Your daughter's potential is bound to yours. To understand her capacity, we must map the source." "By bleeding me?" Mia snapped. "By sampling," he corrected. "Harvesting." The word hit her like a slap. Callum went still beside her. The bond flared, rage sharp and uncontained. "This wasn't the agreement," he said, voice dangerously low. Lawrence turned to him, eyebrow lifting. "The agreement was cooperation. You know as well as I do that extraction is standard procedure." Mia's heart pounded. Extraction of what? Silence stretched. Then Victoria spoke, too clinically, too rehearsed.
latent genetic material, dormant markers. In rare bloodlines like yours, those markers can be cultivated. Cultivated how? Mia demanded. Victoria hesitated. Lawrence smiled. By awakening them, separating what can be used from what can't. Cold spread through Mia's veins. Used for what? For stability, for the pack, for the future. The chanting grew louder. Lily whimpered, pressing her hands to her ears. "Mama, it hurts," she cried. Mia surged forward, breaking from Callum's grip. Enough. She stepped into the circle. The effect was immediate. The symbols flared blinding white. Pain lanced through her body, sharp and electric, as if her blood had turned to fire. She screamed, dropping to her knees beside Lily, wrapping her arms around her. "Stop it," she shouted. "You're hurting her." Lawrence raised a hand. The chanting ceased. The pole snapped off like a severed wire, leaving Mia gasping, her heart hammering against her ribs. Lily sagged against her, sobbing. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Lawrence sighed, almost disappointed. "You see the problem," he said mildly. "The resonance spike was unexpected." "Unexpected?" Mia spat sloppily. "What bond?" "The one you weren't supposed to form," he replied, eyes cutting to Callum. "The one that makes you inconvenient." Mia looked up at Callum, understanding crashing into place. "This isn't about protecting Lily. It never was." Lawrence inclined his head. "Protection is a byproduct. Control is the goal." The room seemed to tilt. "You're not studying bloodlines," Mia whispered. "You're farming them." Victoria looked away. "You take pieces," Mia continued, horror sharpening her voice, "from women, from children. You harvest power and distribute it to keep your hierarchy intact." Lawrence didn't bother denying it now. "Sacrifice is the foundation of civilization." Mia laughed, broken and fierce. "Funny how it's never your blood on the floor." Callum moved then, stepping fully into the circle. The silver lines beneath his boots cracked, light fracturing outward like ice. "This ends," he said. Lawrence's expression hardened. "Careful." "You lied," Callum said, "to me, to the council." "I managed you," Lawrence corrected, "just as I managed my father, and his before him." Mia stared at Lawrence. "How many?" "How many what?" "How many women did you bleed dry before me?" Lawrence's smile thinned. "Enough." Something inside Mia snapped. She felt it tear loose, a surge of heat and power that had nothing to do with fear anymore. The bond between her and Callum blazed, no longer restrained, no longer subtle. The room shook, dust raining from the ceiling. Lily gasped, eyes glowing gold. "Mama," she whispered, awe threaded through her fear. Mia pulled her close, trembling, not from weakness, but from rage. "You don't get to touch us," she said, voice steady now. "You never again." Lawrence stepped back, wariness flickering for the first time. Callum turned to Mia, urgency in his gaze. "We have to leave, now." "You can't," Victoria said weakly. "The protocols are lies," Mia interrupted, "and we're done believing them." The cavern doors burst open as guards poured in, drawn by the surge of power. Callum positioned himself in front of Mia and Lily, stance lethal and sure. Lawrence raised his hand. "Stand down," he commanded. The guards hesitated, caught between instinct and authority. Mia felt it then, the truth beneath everything. They were afraid. Not of Callum, of her. Lawrence's eyes locked onto hers, something calculating shifting behind them. "You don't understand what you are," he said quietly, "what you could become." "I understand enough," Mia replied. "You're not the future. You're a parasite living off stolen blood." The words landed like a curse. For a heartbeat, nothing moved. Then the moonlight pouring through the high stone aperture brightened, flooding the chamber with cold silver glow. The runes flickered erratically, struggling to contain something they were never meant to hold. Callum felt it too, she knew by the sharp inhale at her ear. "This place won't hold," he murmured. "Good," Mia said. She turned, clutching Lily to her chest, and met Lawrence's gaze one last time. "You should have been honest." Lawrence smiled, thin and cruel. "Honesty is a luxury of the powerful." "Not anymore," she said. They ran. Stone cracked behind them as they burst through the doors, alarms howling, the ancient chamber shuddering under the strain of broken lies and awakening blood. As Callum led them through twisting corridors, Mia's mind raced, but one truth burned brighter than the fear. They hadn't been invited into the wolves' world, they'd been marked for slaughter, and she would burn the system down before she let them take another drop.
Lily stopped screaming. That was the first sign something had changed. The alarms still wailed through the lower corridors of the Blackwood compound, boots thundered somewhere above them, and the air reeked of ozone and old magic. But Lily, pressed against Mia's chest as they ran, went unnaturally still. Too still. Mia felt it through the bond like a sudden intake of breath that never released. "Lily?" she whispered, tightening her grip as Callum slowed at a junction, eyes scanning the branching hallways. "I hear them," Lily said softly. Mia froze. "Hear who, Sweet Pea?" "All of them." The words weren't frightened, they were curious. Callum turned sharply. "What do you mean?" Lily lifted her head, her small face pale, eyes glowing brighter than Mia had ever seen, no longer flickers of gold, but a steady molten light that pulsed in time with Mia's heartbeat. "The wolves, the guards, the ones hiding behind the walls, and the ones outside, and," her brow furrowed, "and the ones sleeping far away." A chill slid down Mia's spine. "That's not possible." Callum's jaw tightened. "It shouldn't be." The corridor lights flickered as Lily shifted in Mia's arms. The stone beneath their feet vibrated faintly, like something vast turning over in its sleep. Callum grabbed Mia's wrist. "We need to move, now." They took the left passage, descending rapidly. With every step, the pressure in the air grew heavier, as if the compound itself were resisting Lily's presence. "Mama," Lily murmured again. "They're scared." Mia swallowed. "Who is, baby?" "Everyone." The doors ahead slammed shut with a resounding boom. Callum swore under his breath, skidding to a halt. He raised his hand to the control panel embedded in the stone wall, but before he could touch it, Lily reached out. Her fingers brushed the door. The metal screamed, not metaphorically, actually screamed, a high-pitched keening sound as the reinforced alloy warped inward like soft clay. The doors buckled, then burst apart, slamming into the walls with enough force to crack the stone. Silence followed. Mia stared, heart pounding. "Lily, did you do that?" Lily looked at her hands, flexing her fingers slowly. "I just asked it to move." Callum stared at the ruined doors, then at Lily, something like awe and fear flickering across his face. That wasn't telekinesis. "What was it?" Mia asked, dread creeping in. Callum exhaled slowly. "Command." They didn't stop again. They emerged into an underground courtyard carved directly into the mountain, moonlight pouring in through a massive fissure overhead. Wolves, shifters in various stages of transformation, were already there, drawn by the chaos. Conversations died instantly when they saw Lily. Every gaze locked onto her. The crowd parted instinctively, bodies lowering, spines bowing in unconscious deference. Mia felt it ripple outward, submission, recognition, terror. "Oh God," she whispered, "they're bowing." Lily squirmed. "Why are they doing that?" Before Mia could answer, Victoria pushed through the crowd, face bloodless. She stopped short when she saw Lily's eyes. "This isn't within projected parameters," she stammered. Lawrence appeared behind her, flanked by guards. His calm was gone, replaced by something sharper, hunger edged with alarm. "So," he said quietly, eyes never leaving Lily, "it's begun." Callum stepped forward, placing himself squarely between Lawrence and Mia. "Stay back." Lawrence laughed softly. "You still think this is about control? Look at her." The stone floor cracked beneath Lily's feet as Mia set her down. "Mama?" Lily whispered, clutching Mia's hand. "He's loud. Inside." Mia knelt, cupping her daughter's face. "Don't listen to him." "I can't not listen," Lily said, voice trembling now. "He's pulling." Lawrence lifted his chin.
She hears the blood call, as she should. No, Callum snapped. You forced it. Lawrence's gaze flicked to him. You delayed it. The guards tensed as Lily suddenly gasped, doubling over. A shockwave rippled outward, knocking several wolves off their feet. The torches lining the courtyard flared white-hot, then extinguished all at once. Darkness swallowed them, except Lily. She glowed. Silver gold light poured from her skin, illuminating the courtyard in shifting patterns, phases of the moon spiraling around her small frame. Symbols Mia had seen carved in ancient stones now hovered in the air, responding to Lily like loyal servants. Mia felt the bond stretch, burn, deepen. Pain lanced through her skull as visions crashed into her mind. Wolves kneeling under starlit skies, a child crowned in moonfire, bloodlines intertwining and breaking apart. She screamed. Callum caught her, holding her upright as Lily lifted her head. Her voice echoed unnaturally, layered with something older. "Stop," Lily said. Everything stopped. The guards froze mid-step, Lawrence's raised hand locked in place. Even the wind through the fissure above went silent. Lily turned her glowing gaze on Lawrence. "You hurt my mama," she said simply. Lawrence strained against the invisible force pinning him. "Child, you don't understand." "Don't call me that." The force intensified. Stone groaned. Lawrence's knees buckled, slamming into the ground, his expression finally cracked, control fracturing into naked fear. Victoria dropped to her knees beside him, shaking. This can't be happening. Callum stared, breathless. Luna Prime authority, full manifestation. "At 7?" Victoria whispered. "That's impossible." Lily tilted her head. "What's Luna Prime?" Lawrence's voice was hoarse. "The one they built the laws around, the reason obedience exists." Mia's heart thundered. "Lily, stop, please." The light flickered. Lily looked at Mia then, fear breaking through the power. "I don't want to hurt anyone." Mia pulled her into her arms. "I know. You're not hurting them. They're just afraid." The pressure eased. The guards collapsed, gasping. Lawrence slumped forward, humiliated and furious. Silence returned, thick and trembling. Callum took a step back, eyes never leaving Lily. "They'll never stop coming," he said quietly. "Not now." Mia knew he was right. Lawrence rose slowly, slowly his coat with trembling hands. His smile was gone, replaced by something cold and resolved. "You see now why containment is necessary. She is not a child. She is a catalyst. She's my daughter, and you're never touching her again." Lawrence's gaze flicked between them. "You can't protect her from what she is." "I don't need to. I'll protect her from you." Lily stirred in her arms, exhausted. The glow faded, leaving only faint silver flecks in her eyes. "Mama," she murmured, "I'm tired." Mia held her tighter, fury and terror twisting together in her chest. Callum stepped beside them, voice steady but grim. "We leave, now, before he recovers enough to pretend this didn't terrify him." Lawrence laughed softly. "Run if you like. The council will come. The packs will come." Mia met his gaze without flinching. "Let them." As they turned away, Mia felt the truth settle, heavy and undeniable. Lily wasn't just special. She was a threat to everything the wolves had built their power on, and they would burn the world before letting her grow unchecked.
The first time Mia realized Wakefield was dangerous, he was smiling. The council chamber glittered like a jewel box, arched ceilings veined with gold, polished stone floors reflecting the soft glow of crystal chandeliers. Everything about it was designed to project civility, restraint, order. Silk banners draped the walls, each bearing the sigil of an allied pack. Perfumed air masked the underlying sense of wolf and tension. This was where monsters learned to wear manners. Mia stood at the center dais with Lily seated beside her, small hand tucked firmly into Mia's own. Lily wore a pale dress chosen by Victoria, soft, unthreatening, deliberately human. The effect was calculated. Mia could see the logic even as she resented it. Make the child look harmless, make the mother look manageable. Callum stood just behind them, close enough that Mia could feel the heat of him at her back. He hadn't touched her since they'd entered the chamber, but his presence was a constant, grounding force, a silent warning. Lawrence occupied his seat at the highest tier, face carved from stone. He hadn't spoken to Mia since the courtyard incident. That silence was not mercy, it was strategy. And then there was Wakefield. He rose smoothly from his seat, tall and elegant, silver hair brushed back immaculately. His suit was tailored perfection, dark silk catching the light. He looked less like a wolf and more like a diplomat who'd wandered into the wrong fairy tale. "Members of the council," Wakefield said, his voice warm, cultured, persuasive. "Thank you for convening on such short notice. I know emotions have been heightened." A ripple of murmurs passed through the chamber. Mia's instincts screamed. Wakefield turned, his gaze landing gently on Lily. His smile softened. "And thank you," he added, "for bringing the child." Mia stiffened. Callum's hand twitched. Wakefield clasped his hands together. "We are gathered here today not to condemn, but to understand. Recent events have been alarming. Power surges, structural damage, reports of psychic coercion." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Reports," he continued calmly, "that place every pack represented here at risk." Mia opened her mouth, but Callum's voice cut in, low and sharp. "Choose your words carefully." Wakefield inclined his head. "Of course, Alpha Heir, I would expect nothing less." He turned back to the council. "No one is questioning the maternal instinct. It is admirable, but instinct unchecked can become catastrophe." Mia felt Lily's grip tighten. Wakefield gestured, and the chamber darkened. A projection flared to life above the dais. Footage from the underground courtyard. Lily glowing, wolves kneeling, Lawrence forced to his knees. Gasps filled the room. "This," Wakefield said softly, "is not a child in distress. This is dominance projection on a scale unseen in centuries." "That footage is out of context," Mia snapped. "She was defending herself." Wakefield looked genuinely regretful. "I don't doubt your sincerity, Miss Winters, but perception is power, and this," he gestured to the frozen image of Lily glowing like a living moon, "terrifies people." Whispers grew louder. "She's dangerous, untrained, unstable." Lily pressed her face into Mia's side. Wakefield raised a hand, calming the room. "Fear makes us irrational. That is why we must be measured, controlled, responsible." He turned toward Lawrence. "High Alpha Blackwood has proposed temporary containment and supervised training, a reasonable compromise." Callum stepped forward. "You mean imprisonment." Wakefield smiled faintly. "You mean protection." Mia's blood boiled. "You're using her," she said. "You're turning my daughter into a symbol to scare them into compliance." Wakefield met her gaze, eyes cool and assessing. "Symbols are powerful, Miss Winters, you should know. Your bloodline is the most potent symbol of all." The words landed like a slap. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Recognition, curiosity, hunger. Wakefield continued smoothly. "For generations, we have struggled with declining fertility, weakened transformations, fractured bonds. And then," he gestured toward Mia, "you appear, a dormant legacy, a child manifesting authority beyond her years." He spread his hands. "We cannot ignore that." "You want her power," Mia said. "We want stability," Wakefield corrected, "and stability requires sacrifice." Callum's control finally cracked. "You don't get to decide who sacrifices what." Wakefield's gaze sharpened. "Do you deny the threat? Do you deny that her uncontrolled abilities could tear the pack system apart?" Silence stretched. Mia felt every eye on her. She straightened. "The only threat here is how eager you are to cage a child." Wakefield's smile faded, just a fraction. "Then perhaps we should hear from those already affected." Another gesture.
The doors at the far end of the chamber opened, and a young woman stepped inside. She looked fragile, pale, eyes downcast. Mia recognized her from the compound, one of the lower-ranking pack members. "My name is Elspeth," the woman said softly. "Since the incident, I haven't been able to shift. My wolf won't respond. The healers say it's because of pressure, like something stronger pushing me down." She glanced at Lily, then away quickly. "I'm afraid." The chamber buzzed. Mia felt sick. "You planted her," she hissed. Wakefield didn't deny it. "Her experience is real." Callum turned on Lawrence. "You let this happen." Lawrence's voice was cold. "You let it escalate." Mia's vision tunneled. This was a trap, silk-wrapped, smiling, lethal. Wakefield raised his voice slightly. "We are not monsters. We are guardians of balance. That is why I propose a vote." "No," Callum said. "You don't get jurisdiction." Wakefield cut him off. "Emergency authority allows provisional measures pending full council review." Lawrence nodded. Seconded. The vote began. Hands rose. One by one. Too many. Mia felt Lily tremble. A low hum filled the air. Not power this time, but fear. Callum leaned down, voice urgent. "Mia, listen to me. Do not react. They want you to lose control." Wakefield's gaze flicked to Lily. "For the safety of the packs, I move that Mia Winters be restricted from unsupervised access to council proceedings, and that Lily Winters be placed under temporary guardianship for structured containment and training." Mia's heart slammed against her ribs. "No!" Hands continued to rise. "This is unlawful," Callum snarled. Wakefield's voice was almost gentle. "It is necessary." The final hand lifted. The vote passed. Guards moved forward. Lily whimpered. "Mama?" Mia snapped. The chandeliers shattered. Glass rained down as a wave of force exploded outward, knocking guards off their feet. Mia felt power surge through her, not wild like Lily's, but sharp, focused, protective. "Touch her," Mia said, ringing with something ancient, "and I will bring this chamber down stone by stone." The room froze. Wakefield's eyes gleamed. "There it is," Wakefield murmured. "The proof." Callum stepped forward in front of Mia and Lily, shoulders squared. "Stand down, guards," he ordered. "Anyone who moves answers to me." For a heartbeat, it looked like war would break out right there among the silk and crystal. Then Eleonora rose from her seat. "Enough," she said. The word carried weight. The pressure eased. The guards hesitated. Eleonora's gaze swept the chamber, lingering on Wakefield. "This council forgets itself. You forget who wrote the laws you now twist." Wakefield inclined his head respectfully. "With all due reverence, matriarch, the world has changed." Eleonora smiled thinly. "Yes, it has." She turned to Mia. "Take the child. Go." Lawrence bristled. "Mother?" "I said go." Callum didn't hesitate. He ushered Mia and Lily toward the exit, body a shield. As they left, Mia caught Wakefield's eye. He smiled again. Not kindly, not warmly, but with the satisfaction of a man who knew he had planted the seed of doubt, and that doubt would grow. By the time the doors closed behind them, Mia understood the truth with chilling clarity. Wakefield didn't need to chain her. He'd done something far worse. He'd turned the world against her. And next time, the silk would give way to claws.
The full moon rose like a verdict. It hung low over the Blackwood forests, vast and merciless, its silver light bleeding through the canopy and turning every shadow sharp. Mia felt it hours before it crested the horizon, a pressure beneath her skin, a tightening in her chest, as if something ancient had stirred and found her name written in blood. Lily felt it too. She paced the small clearing beside the cabin Eleonora had hidden them in, bare feet silent against the moss, eyes glowing brighter with every passing minute. Her wolf stirred close to the surface now, no longer frightened, but eager, aware of the pull overhead and answering it with restless energy. "Mama," Lily said softly, not afraid, but serious. "It's calling." Mia swallowed. She could feel it calling too, not to the moon itself, but to him. Callum stood at the edge of the tree line, rigid, shoulders drawn tight as if holding himself together by sheer will. He hadn't come closer since dusk. He hadn't touched her since the council chamber. The restraint radiating from him was almost painful to sense. Every instinct in Mia screamed that something irrevocable was about to happen. Eleonora's voice drifted from the cabin doorway, calm and unyielding. The bond has reached its final threshold. Callum turned sharply. "You said we had time." "You had time," Eleonora replied. "You chose delay." Mia's pulse spiked. "What does that mean?" The matriarch's gaze softened as it settled on her. "It means the bond no longer requires permission." The forest seemed to inhale. A wave of heat rolled through Mia's body, stealing her breath. Her knees buckled, and Callum was suddenly there, hands gripping her arms, steadying her. The contact sent a shock through both of them, raw, electric, undeniable. Callum gasped, his control fracturing. "Mia!" The bond flared. It was nothing like the subtle pull she'd felt before. This was fire through her veins, a collision of instinct and emotion so overwhelming it stripped thought from her mind. Images crashed into her, moonlit hunts, blood and breath and belonging, Callum's wolf standing over her in fierce devotion, her own power answering his without question. She clutched his shirt, fingers digging in as if he were the only solid thing left in a world tilting off its axis. "Don't fight it," Eleonora said quietly. "Fighting now will only tear you apart." Callum's jaw clenched. She didn't choose this. Mia looked up at him, hazel eyes burning gold. "Neither did you." The truth of that settled between them, heavy, intimate, unavoidable. The moon cleared the treetops, the bond ignited fully. Mia cried out as the mark bloomed on her skin, a crescent of silver fire over her heart. Callum staggered back with a roar torn from his chest, his own mark blazing in answer. The air vibrated with power, leaves lifting from the ground as if gravity itself had weakened. Lily dropped to her knees, eyes wide, not in fear, but awe. "It's beautiful," she whispered, and the bond between mother and daughter thrummed in agreement. Callum's control shattered. His wolf surged forward, close enough that Mia could feel it, vast, protective, claiming. Not ownership, recognition, as if some ancient part of the world had finally aligned. He dropped to one knee before her, breath ragged, eyes no longer just blue, but luminous, filled with stars and shadow. "Say the word," he rasped. "I'll stop, even now." Mia's hands trembled as she cupped his face. The moment her skin met his, the bond sang. Joy, certainty, rightness so profound it hurt. "I've been fighting my whole life," she said softly, "for Lily, for survival, for scraps of safety." Her voice steadied. "I won't fight this." The words were barely spoken before the bond sealed. Light poured through them both, silver and gold entwining, wrapping the clearing in a glow so bright the trees cast no shadows. Mia felt herself open, not weakened, but expanded. Callum's strength flowed into her, and hers into him, seamless, equal. The world shifted. Where once there were edges and walls, there was now connection. She felt his thoughts, not words, but intent, loyalty like iron, love fierce and unyielding, a vow that did not need to be spoken. Callum surged to his feet, pulling her into his arms as if afraid she might vanish. His forehead rested against hers, breath shaking. "I've been resisting this since the moment I knew, since the moment my wolf recognized yours. They forbade me from choosing you." Mia smiled through tears. "They don't get to decide what claims us." The moonlight flared one final time, then settled, leaving the clearing quiet but charged, as if the forest itself had bowed and stepped back. Lily ran to them, wrapping her arms around Mia's waist. Callum's hand came down gently, resting over them both. The bond stretched,
widened, acknowledging her too, not as possession, but as promise. Eleonora exhaled slowly. It's done. Callum looked up sharply. What does this mean for the council? It means, Eleonora said with a thin smile, that Wakefield and Lawrence have lost their greatest weapon. You are no longer a resource. You are a force. Mia felt it then, not just the bond, but the shift in the world around her, the subtle realignment of power, the knowledge that whatever came next, she would not face it alone. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance, pack signals, alarms rippling outward as the bond's ignition was felt miles away. Callum's expression hardened. They'll come. Yes, Mia agreed, calmly. They will. She looked up at the moon, no longer a threat, but a witness. Let them. Because under that full moon, claimed not by law or contract, but by choice, everything had changed, and the pack would learn, whether they wished to or not, that some rules were never meant to survive the truth.
The summons came before dawn. 3 short howls rolled through the forest, sharp and formal, carrying the weight of command. Mia felt them in her bones before she heard them, felt Callum tense beside her, the bond tightening like a drawn blade. "They're calling the conclave," he said quietly. Lily stirred in her sleep, a soft whimper escaping her lips. Mia brushed a hand over her daughter's hair, steadying both of them. Since the bond ignited, Lily's power had settled into something watchful, coiled rather than wild, a child standing at the edge of something vast. "They won't wait," Mia said. Callum's jaw set. They never do. By the time the sun broke through the trees, Blackwood guards had surrounded the clearing, not with weapons raised but with rigid posture and carefully blank faces. Respect, yes. Fear, unmistakably. The pack felt the bond, they felt the shift, and it terrified them. The great hall of Blackwood Keep loomed like a relic of an older, crueler age, stone walls carved with victories written in blood, banners heavy with lineage and law. The air was thick with incense and iron as the conclave assembled, alphas and elders forming a half-circle around the central dais. Lawrence Blackwood sat at its center. He looked unchanged, silver hair slicked back, expression carved from control, but the bond let Mia see beneath the surface. The fury, the fracture, the certainty slipping through his fingers like ash. Callum stepped forward alone. A murmur rippled through the hall. "Alpha approaches without submission," someone hissed. Callum stopped before the dais and did not kneel. Silence fell, sharp, stunned, dangerous. Lawrence rose slowly. "You stand before your Alpha," he said, voice smooth as a blade. "Kneel." "No," replied Callum. The word cracked through the hall like thunder. Gasps erupted. Several guards shifted instinctively. Mia felt Lily's hand tighten in hers, but she did not move. The bond anchored her, steady and unyielding. Lawrence's eyes narrowed. "You forget yourself." "I remember exactly who I am, and what you made me." Lawrence descended the steps, stopping just short of striking distance. "You were born to lead this pack, to preserve its laws, its purity. By harvesting blood, by branding women and children as assets, by ruling through fear." A low growl rolled through the elders. "You accuse your Alpha without proof," Lawrence said coldly. Callum turned, gesturing sharply. "Then look." The bond flared. Gasps turned to shouts as the air shimmered and memory bled into the hall. Ritual circles slick with blood, children restrained beneath chanting elders, contracts signed under duress. Mia felt the echo of her own terror ripple outward, unfiltered, undeniable. Wakefield surged to his feet. "This is manipulation." "This is truth," Callum snapped, "and you all felt it." Silence again, but this time it was different, uneasy, fractured. Lawrence's composure cracked. "You dare weaponize a forbidden bond?" "I dare end this," Callum said. He turned fully now, addressing the pack.
The laws you cling to were built to preserve power, not protect our people. They turned strength into tyranny. I won't enforce them." A collective inhale swept the room. "You would dismantle centuries of order," Lawrence said, voice trembling with fury. "For her?" "For us," Callum corrected. "For the future you were too afraid to imagine." Lawrence's eyes flicked to Mia then, to Lily. Something like calculation passed through his gaze. "You would choose a human over your bloodline?" Callum didn't hesitate. "I choose my mate, and the child this pack tried to break." The word mate sent shockwaves through the hall. Several elders recoiled, others leaned forward, eyes burning with something dangerously close to hope. "You cannot claim the Alpha seat while bound to her," Lawrence said. "The law forbids it." Callum stepped closer, voice dropping, lethal. "Then I challenge the law." The hall erupted. Shouts overlapped. Outrage, fear, exhilaration. Mia felt the bond surge, Callum's resolve a living thing pressing outward, daring the pack to arise or fall with him. Lawrence laughed then, short, sharp, unhinged. "You would tear this pack apart." "No," Callum said softly, "I would free it." He turned back to the elders. "By right of blood and bond, I invoke trial of succession." The words hit like a hammer. Lawrence froze. "You would dare?" "I dare," Callum said, "under full moon law, witnessed and binding." Mia felt the ancient magic stir, recognizing the challenge. The keep itself seemed to hum, stone remembering a time when leadership was earned, not inherited through cruelty. Lawrence's face went pale. "If you lose—" "I die," Callum said evenly. Mia's breath caught, but she did not interrupt. She understood this was the price of change, and so did he. "And if you win?" Lawrence demanded. Callum's gaze was unwavering. "You step down, the contracts end, the children are freed, the laws rewritten." The hall trembled under the weight of it. Long seconds passed. Then Lawrence straightened, mask snapping back into place. "So it be," he said coldly. "I will not be dethroned by weakness masquerading as mercy." Callum inclined his head once, respectful, final. As he turned back towards Mia, their eyes locked. The bond flared, love, fear, certainty braided together. No matter what came next, he had chosen. And in that moment, as the pack prepared for a reckoning written in blood and moonlight, Mia understood something profound. Defiance was not the breaking of law. It was the birth of something better.
The ashes were still warm when the moon reached its peak. They lay scattered across the stone floor of the great hall, gray remnants of ink and vellum, of signatures pressed in fear, of clauses written to bind rather than protect. The contract that had governed Mia's body, her blood, her future was gone, burned to nothing beneath silver flame. Lawrence Blackwood knelt where it had fallen. Not in submission, never that, but in defeat. The trial of succession had ended an hour earlier, beneath a sky split open by moonlight and storm. No cheering followed Callum's victory, no celebration, only stunned silence as an ancient truth settled into the bones of the pack. Strength did not belong to cruelty. Power did not require chains. Callum stood at the center of the hall now, stripped of ceremonial armor, blood drying along his forearm where Lawrence's blade had grazed him. He looked tired, changed, free in a way Mia had never seen before. She stood at the edge of the circle with Lily pressed against her side, one hand resting over the faint glow at her daughter's chest. Lily's eyes followed Callum with quiet awe, not fear, not confusion, recognition. The elders shifted uneasily. By tradition, the victor claimed the Alpha seat immediately. By tradition, the defeated was either executed or exiled. Callum did neither. He turned instead to the brazier where the remaining contracts lay piled, dozens of them, each one a life measured in usefulness. He lifted his hand, and the moonstone bracelet at Mia's wrist pulsed in response.
"These end now," he said. "No roar of flame, no spectacle. Just fire, clean and absolute." The parchment curled in on itself, ink screaming briefly before vanishing. Mia felt the moment the last tether snapped. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud. It was relief so deep it made her knees weak. She exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding since the night Lily first screamed beneath the moon. A murmur rippled through the hall. Some alphas looked away. Others watched with naked disbelief, as if expecting the world to punish them for allowing it. Nothing happened. The pack did not fall. The sky did not burn. The only sound was Lily's quiet laugh, a small, startled sound as the last ember faded. "It's over," she whispered. Mia knelt, pulling her close. "Yes," she said, rough, "it is." Lawrence rose slowly, pride the last thing holding him upright. "You've undone generations," he said hoarsely. "They will blame you when chaos comes." Callum met his gaze. "They already lived in chaos," he said. "You just called it order." He turned away then, an act more damning than any punishment, and faced the pack. "I will not rule as my father did. I will not lead through fear, blood extraction, or forced bonds. Any who cannot accept that are free to leave." A pause. Then one elder stepped forward, old, scarred, eyes sharp with a lifetime of compromises. "And the human?" he asked, voice carrying. "And the child?" Callum didn't look at Mia when he answered. He didn't need to. "They are under my protection. Not as assets, not as symbols, as family." The word settled into the hall, reshaping something fundamental. The elder inclined his head. Others followed, slowly, unevenly, enough. When the hall finally emptied, dawn had begun to creep along the stone walls, softening their edges. The keep felt different, hollowed out maybe, but lighter, as if something rotten had been cut away. Mia stood alone near the balcony overlooking the forest, Lily asleep against her shoulder. The world beyond was silvered and quiet, the trees breathing with a patience that felt earned. Footsteps approached. Callum stopped beside her, close enough that she felt the warmth of him without being enclosed by it. He didn't touch her first, didn't assume. For the first time since they'd met, there was nothing binding them except what they chose. "I meant what I said back there. You don't owe me anything," he murmured. Mia smiled faintly. "I know." She turned to face him, really face him, not as an alpha, not as a protector, not as a man shaped by obligation, but as Callum, scarred, earnest, unsure in a way that made her chest ache. "The contract is gone. The bond remains, but it doesn't command. If you want to leave, I'll make sure you can. No pack oversight, no strings." She studied his face, the tension he hadn't allowed himself to release, the way his hands were open at his sides, not reaching. "Mia," he said softly, "choose." The word landed with more force than any ritual. She thought of the night she'd signed her name in blood to save her child, of the fear that had guided every decision since, of how easily sacrifice had become her language. Then she thought of Lily laughing beneath the moon, of Callum standing alone against a legacy built to crush him, of the way the bond no longer felt like a chain, but like a bridge. "I won't be owned," she said quietly. "I know," he replied. She stepped closer anyway. "But I will stay," she said, "not because I have to, because I want to." Something in Callum broke then, not loudly, not messily, but cleanly, like ice giving way to water. He reached for her, slow, giving her every chance to pull back. She didn't. Their foreheads touched, breath mingling, the bond humming in quiet approval, not claiming, not demanding, witnessing. Lily stirred, eyes fluttering open. She looked between them, solemn and wise in a way that made her heart twist. "So we're choosing," she murmured sleepily. "Yes," Mia said, kissing her hair. "We are." Lily smiled and drifted back to sleep, power resting easy beneath her skin for the first time. The sun rose fully then, spilling gold across the forest and the stone, across a pack standing at the edge of reinvention. Behind them lay contracts, bloodlines, rules carved without consent. Ahead lay something riskier, freedom, and together, by choice, not by force, they stepped into it.